Hi, I'm Greg, hopper driver, Autumn Transport. I'm here to talk about uh, how to operate a hopper safely, correctly. And I'm here with Jenna filming and Katie. She's going to be asking me questions, I do believe. And so, that being said, I guess we can get started.
All right, let's do this.
So, we've got an overview of a hopper. Everybody should know what a hopper looks like if you're going to pull one. So, um, in the front, we have the ladder to go up front. Obviously, safety is needed when climbing this ladder, uh, so that you don't fall into your tires. Some people have different setups, obviously. You have a gauge here in the front that'll tell you how much pressure is on your trailer axles as far as weight. It doesn't have a gauge that shows pounds, it shows pressure, PSI. So you have to basically go get loaded somewhere and then hit a cat scale and get as close to 34 as you can, and then look at your gauge, and it should be somewhere around 70. Generally speaking, somewhere around 70 should be about 34,000 pounds. It's not the rule.
So when you get loaded and you look at your gauge and you know you're maybe at 80, you know you're overweight,
Yes,
and you need some product taken off?
you're right. Now, I have a right way gauge on my truck, so I can actually look at my drive axles too. That actually shows pounds.
Oh, nice.
So you open it. Okay.
Go ahead if you want.
Open it up. This is something that I recommend to have. That way you don't have to stop at a cat scale every time and know what your weights are. And if you're getting loaded in, say, in a field at a farmer with a farmer, you can judge. And in some cases, some of the customers, they don't have scales where you're loading, so you have to use these.
Sure.
So, and obviously you wouldn't want to put 34,000 pounds on loading the front and then say, okay, I'm done, load the back, because now you're going to be overweight in the front.
Right.
So you have to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, and know when to move forward to get the back.
And every truck's different. Mine, I think, is somewhere around 22,000 pounds, and then I'll move it to the back.
Sure.
And then watch that gauge, and I can watch both gauges. That'll go up to 34, and that'll go up to 70. So this is a good investment.
What did that run you?
I want to say it was about $350.
Okay.
Give or take.
Yep.
I mean, they have different ones that are a little less expensive, do the same thing, and you can calibrate them. There's a little set screw in it. You go to get loaded, go to the cat scale, get your weight. If it says 32,000 up here, then you just take your little small micro screwdriver, flathead, and you calibrate it to 32, whatever your cat scale says. And then that way, next time you weigh, it's at 32, you should be right.
Sure.
Or even 34 at that point, but so since we can't go over 34. All right, so now we're going to talk about the vibrator, shaker, whatever you want to call it. I keep mine in the truck because you can't leave them on the truck because they'll fall off, unless they do have some that are mounted, but we don't. This is the shaker, and it is pneumatic, so like any air tool, if anybody's ever used an air tool, you're supposed to oil your air tools daily. I don't daily, I don't weekly. I mean, you probably should. And how you're supposed to oil it, I'm not 100% sure. The way I do it is I pull the hose off. It's a 9/16 wrench. Unscrew it, put a few drops of oil in it, screw it back on, it's oiled. That's the vent for it. It's best to just, when you put it in the cradle, to leave that vent up. One, it'll hit the trailer, and I don't know if it'll damage it or not, but it probably would, because it does pretty violent. So, and any excess oil is going to come out of it if you hang it upside down. So, and anyway, the cradle's here. You run in, drop it in there right there, and then the air hose connector is in the middle of the trailer. It's on. So now, whenever you get to a customer and it's time to unload, I mean, this should be one of the first things you do. Chances are you're going to need it. I use it every time. Some people don't. Okay, we're back, and I magically have a crank handle. So, this crank handle is the same crank handle you're going to use to lower your landing gear. They actually stow right here, however they stow, somewhere like this. There's a cradle right here for this. I don't advise using it because the first truck stop you're at, it'll be gone when you get up in the morning. So put it in your truck, side box. You got a toolbox, do that. This handle that works your landing gear and it works your gearboxes for your doors. The gearboxes for the doors, especially when you're loaded, they'll get in a bind where you can't pull the, whatever that's called, the lockdown, the latch. But anyway, so all you'd have to do is take the bind off of it, flip it up. Now you've got 2 points here. This is low gear and high gear, whatever, whichever one. This one right here will open the door slowly, just like riding a 10-speed bicycle. When you're going uphill, you want it in that gear that's going to make the crank turn. So when you open the door, when you're loaded, it's going to be a lot of weight on that door, so it makes it easier to slowly open it up, which you can't see unless you crawl underneath. But when you get to a certain point, or when you're empty, either way, you can put it to this side and the door will open twice as fast or 3 times as fast even. But you can see it coming out the back side over here, where the door, I'll move over this way, so you can see the door actually opening. The door will actually open as you're opening it, product's coming out. So.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I've had it in the past experience that guys' hopper doors have came open after they were loaded and had spilt. Why would that have happened?
I would say there's probably 2 reasons for that. One is they forgot to do that.
They forgot to do what?
Forgot to put the latch over it.
Okay.
Because that's what keeps it from turning. Okay. That's one. The other reason is what I would say would be, which is probably unlikely. I don't know if you remember, Katie, I had an issue. We had these new gearboxes put on and I couldn't get the door to open.
Yes.
It was this shaft right here that goes to this U-joint down there that was spinning on the U-joint. So whenever I went to turn it, the shaft would turn, but the U-joint wouldn't. The U-joint goes to another shaft that opens the door. So I would say if that was too loose, possibly, but more than likely, they didn't do that. They just didn't do that. Okay. And people do forget. Yeah. It happens. So always do that. So that doesn't happen, because that will happen. You wouldn't think as much weight's on it, but or you'll find out when you're unloading product, you can have this crank handle right here, and as product's coming out, the daggone crank will start closing the door automatically. Why that is, I don't know, but it happens. And anyway, it's a thing. So, but the weight, the shaking going down the road will cause the door to open, you know, once you've got it fully closed all the way. And then, you know, you can just, now it's locked, the door's not coming open. And it works the exact same way on the back. The demonstration, it's noisy.
Yeah.
And the shaker.
Is the shaker on at all time while you're unloading?
Depends. Sometimes, depending on the product, yes. And if that's the case, you're going to have your truck running because you got to feed the air. But generally speaking, you're going to need your truck running anyway because you're going to shake it quite a bit. So, yeah, you'll most likely need your truck running regardless. I always do. But, like, for example, we haul a lot of chicken byproduct, chicken meal, meat and bone, pork meal, pretty much all the same junk. So whenever you get to your customer to unload, they'll say, just open it up all the way. Do what you want to do, how you want to do it. I try not to open it all the way because I don't like a mess. I don't like sweeping up if I don't have to. I'll sweep up. You need to sweep up. So I'll open the door up a little bit, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches open, and then I'll just turn the vibrator on. It's loud, it's violent. Put earplugs in, I recommend it. And just let it start, because a lot of times it won't come out. It'll just sit there. The door's open, product's just sitting there. So you shake it, get it flowing, it'll drop, it'll start flowing, shut it off, And then as the pit fills up, however you want to do it, start opening the door up more. If you always got to ask the customer, because sometimes they don't want you to open the doors all the way. Too much pressure on their machinery. Some of them are like, just dump it, let it go. So always ask the customer. You'll shut the plant down. You can shut the plant down, and then you're going to be there a lot longer than you want to be. So that's basically how the vibrator works. And whichever you unload, front or rear, just take the vibrator, stick it in the rear one or the front, and same process over again. When you do get done unloading, you're going to want to check to make sure all the product's out of the trailer, because it doesn't all come out. So that's where you want to climb the front ladder and back ladder when you're done with each hopper. Before you pull off the pit, go up there and look in to make sure, because you got the corners, there's 4 corners in there, and there'll be product stuck. Sometimes you can, you can't see it. There's a bump rail just like this. This is a bump rail. You can take your hammer and go underneath there and hit your bump rail. Never hit the hopper. Never hit the hopper. This is the bump rail, hit the bump rail. You'll damage the hopper, it's expensive. So that's what this is for. This is an older trailer, somebody's hit this with a hammer, obviously. Use a mallet. I have, this is a Craftsman. It's a 45 ounce mallet. It's got like sand in it or something. I'm sure everybody will recognize something like this. Take it and just hit that. You're not doing any damage, and you're making the product fall. And this is work, obviously. Hit it a bunch of times probably to get it to come out. Same thing on the other side. You can do the same thing. Like I said, up in between, you can stand up in here, and there's another bump rail in there. You can hit that. If you look again and there's still product in there, then you got to get your broom out. Hopefully the customer has one, or if not, you've got one. Crawl underneath, stand inside with your broom, and sweep it. Bring it down. That's the best way to do it, to get it cleaned out. It's dirty. You're going to get dirty. This is a dirty job. Micro would love it. And then also, when you are unloading, before you start dropping your product, opening the door, you're going to want to open your tarp, because the product, if it comes out really fast, will cause a suction, and it'll actually pull your tarp in. It could tear your tarp. It happens. Tarps are, I don't know, help me, $1,500, and nobody wants to spend $1,500 on a tarp if you tear it up. There's also another trick. So, all right, so here's the back view of the trailer. We are recording.
Yep.
Okay. The back view of the trailer. So you've got your crank handle for your tarp, okay, and you got a ladder. You should always leave your ladder up, but because you just don't want it hanging down. It's going to flop around, and so you don't want to do that. So the way you handle this is you just pull it off its cradle right there that holds it in place. And be careful, because when you walk around here and do this, it's going to want to spin. And when it does, if you're standing right here, it's fixing to hit you. So safety, you don't want to get hit. So anyway, so you saw the tarp roll down, okay? So first off, if it's raining like it's a rainy day today, and your customer does not have an inside pit, or partially is, partially in, partially out some places, the way to avoid the suction is basically just do this, drop it. Okay, now you relieve pressure, it can get air in through up underneath it. That way, and your product's not going to get wet. The downside of this is you really can't look inside of it to see if it's empty. Because you really don't want the inside getting wet. Because now the product, if it's chicken by or something like that, it's going to turn to mud. It's going to be awful. You don't want that. So the way you handle it is you drop, if it's a sunshiny day, okay, it's beautiful, no rain. You drop your tarp down, and then you just crank all the way around. The sun put water all over us. And then bring it back, hang it up. Now your tarp is open all the way, rolled back. It's in its cradles on the right side over here. All straight, nice, pretty. Okay, we're back. So now we're gonna close the tarp. Same process backwards, but there's things to look for. So basically just go back the same way you did it, roll it all the way across, and let it drop down. Now, there's things you should look for whenever you get to this point. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
I've paid for things. So your tarp's dropped, okay? Now, one thing you want to make sure of is the back is on that end cap. There's an end cap on the back of the trailer, and there's an end cap on the front of the trailer that the tarp lays down on top of. It's got a little ridge in it to help, once you tighten it down, to help keep the tarp from sliding over it. So when rainwater gets in it. So if you look right here on this edge, you can see where the tarp is actually laying.
Yeah.
Yep.
It needs to lay just like that, and it needs to be flat. It doesn't need to be wrinkled up the same way in the front. Because if it's wrinkled up, now you're going to put a crease in your tarp, which is going to increase the chances of it tearing right there, which you want it to lay flat. Sometimes you have to go to the front, climb up there. It's usually the front for me. It doesn't happen all the time. Where it won't lay flat, you go up there and just pull it back, and then I know it's a lot of steps back and forth. It's exercise. So then so that's the one thing you want to look at. The other thing is when your tarp comes down, hold on a second. Let me roll this back so I can let Jenna take a picture of this. All right, on the trailer, you see what looks like a gutter that's upside down that runs the full length. You see what I'm saying yet?
Yeah.
Right there, it's rounded.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I see it.
Okay, that's where the tarp rolls up into. That's what holds the tarp in
okay.
place, right there.
Okay.
But this piece that looks like the gutter going down the side, I don't know the name of it, is where you want your tarp bar. That's what I had to buy. That piece right there that's sticking out of the tarp, it runs all the way through the tarp. And you want to make sure that when you roll this tarp up, that it actually goes in that, especially in the front. You'll look here in the back and say, oh, it's in.
Let's check it.
Okay. It's a simple look to make sure that you can see it from back there when you know what to look for.
Yep.
You'll see that it's back here. And you'll see the cord hanging off of it. The caps come out of that one, but it's not important. But that's a bungee cord. That needs to be there because it helps pull the tarp back over in the front. It's just a long bungee cord. So when you roll the tarp all the way over, it's stretched out. So when you start rolling it back, that actually pulls the tarp in the front. Along with in the back, there's a cable that helps pull it. So it rolls at the same speed. Because what'll happen is you'll get loaded at a customer that has a light product, like for example, soy hull. Generally speaking, like chicken byproduct, you're only gonna fill the trailer up maybe 3/4 of the way and you're full, okay? With soy hulls, it's light. You're gonna fill it up all the way. It's gonna be up to the bows and some over it. And what'll happen is when you start rolling the tarp, I'm telling y'all this because this is basically what happened. The tarp rolled in the back, but it didn't roll in the front, and I didn't catch it because I didn't look. I look now. And I rolled it up, and when I got going down the road, the wind went up under the tarp, flung it over the side. So, and it bent that, it didn't hurt the tarp, thank goodness, but it bent that rod, pole, whatever it's called. I should know, I bought it. You want to make sure it's in that cradle, and make sure your bungee cord, I mean, you don't have to have the bungee cord. If you want to make your life easy, yeah, you want the bungee cord on there. If not, you're going to be walking back and forth, pulling the tarp. So anyhow, So if we can move back here, sorry to make you walk, Jen. So we've checked to make sure, and like I said, just generally speaking, you can stand back here. Okay, so your tarp's down, you rolled it up, you basically just continue rolling the same direction. You rolled it up into the cradle, and you're looking right now. Okay, it's in the hole. So now you come back around here, and then you hang your bar back. Now, back when we were talking about the soy holes where they loaded up really high, what'll happen is it'll be so high that your bar won't, you won't be, let's say this is about as far as you can get it, or you might can get it up here like this and it won't go any further. You have to shake it down, which is pulling forward and hit the brakes and all that, but you've already done that, but it won't shake down. And you tighten and tighten and tighten. Okay, sometimes what'll happen is this space right here will be taken up with the product. It's gonna lift the tarp in the center and it'll pull it up in there. But you don't want which this is not a good example, you don't want to hang your crank handle like that. The reason being is it's not that big of a deal unless you're at a truck stop. Somebody backs up. Now the bar is already sitting, what, a foot away from the trailer anyway. Now you've brought it out another foot. So now if somebody backs up, they're gonna run into it, bend it, then it's just gonna be hard on you to work. So what you wanna try to do, if you do have to do that where it's parked like that, drive down the road 3 or 4 miles, pull over next exit ramp, go back there, and it'll settle down some. And you should be able to tighten it up some more and get your bar parked like it should be. Generally speaking, it'll go down. It's still gonna be tight. Because like I said, you got bows across the trailer on the top, which you can't see from here, that keep the tarp in a bowed shape. And so when they load above the bows, the tarp's just going to sit that much higher, which means you're not going to have as much room over here, which means your crank's going to be sitting in a weird position. You kind of want it like this, or down, up or down. I guess underneath the trailer is fine too. You just don't want to, it's not that big of a deal. You just don't want it sticking out all the time. You need to check your tarp for holes. The easiest way of doing that if the holes aren't obvious is crawl underneath your trailer, open your doors up, crawl underneath your trailer on a sunshiny day, and just look up. And if it looks like you see stars in the sky, you got holes. And those really need to be patched. If you see the sunlight coming through, you really need to patch it. Some customers, they check for this. A lot of customers do check for it. Some of them are more thorough than others. And if you've got just a pinhole, they're like, nope, we're not loading it, fix it. Yeah. If water gets in the product, they're not gonna load it. There's all kinds of different things you can buy online, just tarp patches and stuff like that to keep in your truck. Me, I'm cheap. I got Gorilla Tape that looks like it's duct tape. If you can reach it, I don't recommend crawling on a tarp. They say it'll hold you. I've seen people on them. I don't recommend it because if it tears, you're going through it, So if you can reach it reasonably, I'll just take some Windex and paper towel and go up there and spray that spot, wipe it off, get the dirt off of it. Put some back on that Gorilla Tape. It ain't coming off. If anybody's ever used Gorilla Tape or glue, that stuff works. Just, it ain't pretty because it's silver, black tarp, but it's gonna cover the hole and it won't leak at that point. So that's a good cheap way of doing it. So,
How do you, I've had independent contractors call in and tell me that they have a broken bow, or a bent bow. How do they find out about that?
You climb the ladder and you can look down the road. I don't know how many there are in there, 8 or 10 down through there. But just climb the ladder and it's obvious. If they're bent, they're supposed to be, what's that called? Rounded, concave, I don't know, what's the right word? They're rounded. So when you look at it, it'll just be dropped down. Like maybe somebody loaded with a front end loader and they dumped the bucket and the bucket hit it. That'll bend it. There's all kinds of different things that can do that.
So is that, with it being like a bent bow, is that what causes, how do they notice it? By doing like a post and pre-trip and crawling up there and looking
Basically,
at them every time?
you just have to crawl up there and look.
Because the tarp would still work the same, right?
Yeah, it'll work. It's just gonna flop where that one bow's at a little bit in the wind.
Okay.
It won't tighten up as well right there. If there's 3 or 4 of them bent, that's a problem, because now your tarp's just all over the place, you know.
That'd be an indication.
Yeah, and you're going to end up tearing the tarp,
Okay.
you know. So riding down the road with it like that. So that's something that would have to be fixed. But so we talked about the tarp. We've talked about getting unloaded at customers and sweeping out, which is really something that should be done every time, because one, the customer paid for that product, they want it. You don't want to leave a whole bunch of product in there and then you get to the truck wash and then they want to charge you because there's too much product in there, want to charge extra. So talking about washouts, so there's certain products that you don't have to get washed out every time. So if you pick up one product at this customer and you deliver it, and then you go to another customer, maybe the same company, picking up the same product at a different location, you should be fine. That being said, some people are still like, no, you need a washout. You need to check with dispatch on it to be sure. And there are some products that you can load opposite of one another. Like if you have soy hulls and get it off, then you can go get chicken byproduct without a washout. But if you have chicken byproduct, you've got to wash out before you get soy hulls. So this is just something you learn over time and working here. Always check with dispatch. They'll tell you, yes, you do, or no, you don't. Sometimes they don't know. But they're good most of the time. In the washout, you're going to really want to make sure that the trailer's clean. So when they do the washout is nothing more than just a water hose and sometimes a pressure washer, and they just spray it out really good with clean water. It's not a soap, it's nothing like that. So when they get done, the best bet is to climb your ladder in the front, look, just inspect it, make sure your end caps are clean because product gets on them on front and rear. Make sure your straps are clean and your bows aren't holding product. They sometimes miss it, they'll concentrate on the hopper, not so much that. You know, and generally it's not a big deal. They'll say, oh, sorry, we'll get it, no big deal. But check the front, climb down, go back and check the back real quick. Takes a couple minutes, no big deal. Then ride down the road, let it dry. But like I said, over time you'll learn products not to mix together. Just roll it all the way open, lock your handle in, and then you can ride down the road. Your fuel mileage is going to go away big time. It's a parachute. So just let it dry out. If you've got a long deadhead, you can shut the tarp and it will dry. You can shut the tarp and doors, that way you don't burn up your fuel so bad. And if it's a long deadhead, you're going to be 4 or 5 hours or something like that, it'll dry while you're going down the road. There's still some ventilation in there. So that's, yeah. I don't recommend riding down the road with a tarp open no longer than you have to, because it does burn up a bunch of fuel. Your fuel mileage will drop big time. And so maintenance on the trailer, overall maintenance. We talked about maintenance in your shaker and your gearboxes, I think. I don't even know. The gearboxes have a zert fitting right up under the latch here. It's right here on both boxes. And they need grease. And you've been driving a truck for a while, you'll know your trailer is going to need a PM done every so often, which essentially is nothing more than just a grease job. There's grease fittings on the landing gear, obviously the gearboxes, and this particular trailer has disc brakes, so there's really no grease fittings back there, zert fittings. But on drum brakes, there are. You got your slack adjusters and all that need brakes and everything else back there. So that's going to get done every 6 months regardless, because we do an annual inspection on the trailer and the truck actually every 6 months. Some drivers will keep a grease gun with them and they'll just grease the trailer randomly here and there. I try to do it. I'd like to try to do it every 3 months if I can. Not the best at it, but at least it gets done every 6 months for sure. But the other thing I like to do is try to get truck and trailer on the same annual 6 month annual inspection. That way I can pull into a TA, get it done. Autumn pays for it, except for my truck. I pay for my truck. They pay for the trailer. And honestly, I think the trailer is like $75 or something like that to get it done. It's not that big a deal. Just the time doing it, you know. But really, you don't, I'm not an expert on this, but the doors, they have gears that open them up. And I've been told, don't do anything to them. Then again, I've heard the opposite, you should lube them. But in my opinion, the gears are up underneath it. I don't even know if you can get a hold to them, Jenna. But you can see under here, there's rollers on this track here where the door rides on. The gears are up underneath the door. I mean, just walk around and look at them. Everything looks like it's good. Probably is. If they're opening and closing fine. You know, if you've got these gearboxes were replaced a few months ago because the gears inside of them had broke or something, and you couldn't, whenever you turned it, it would snap. You know, it wouldn't open the doors. And they were both doing it, so we had to have them replaced. But you'll know if something's wrong, and Autumn's always been good about taking care of the equipment. If we say, hey, it needs this, generally speaking, there's hardly even any question about it. All right, let's get it fixed. So don't hesitate. Everybody knows about the basic maintenance on brakes and, you know, tires. You're a truck driver, you should know these things. Hopper's just a little different as far as having a hopper door if you've never driven one. So there's a button right here. Some of them are black, this one's red. This dumps your airbags on your trailer. At least two things you want to use this for. When you're unloading at a customer, your suspension is going to raise up. So you want to pull that so you're not overextending the shocks too bad or something like that, or the airbags, because it's going to raise up, and everybody knows airbags take a few minutes to settle back down. And if it's unloading slowly, it's just going to take that much longer. So well, there's a couple reasons here, but the other reason you want to do this at a customer is when you're unloading and you drop that back end down a little bit, it brings the hopper closer to the ground. So when you're opening that door and the product comes out, it's got a smaller footprint. So when it comes out, it's not going to go way out here on either side. Now you got to sweep the whole bay. Now it's concentrated in this one little area. It's only got so far it can go. You're still going to sweep, but it won't be as much. So there's that. But I don't recommend riding down the road with it like this because it bounces really bad and the tires will skid and stuff like that. So, but the other reason you want to do this is, especially if you're loaded and you drop your trailer. If your trailer has an air leak, find one that don't. If your trailer has an air leak and you have your button pushed in, your airbags are aired up, and you rolled your landing gear down and you dropped it and you're going to the house for the weekend and you're loaded, what's happening is now your airbags have bled off and it's pushing the back down, but in the process of pushing the back down, it's also pushing the trailer forward, which is putting a whole lot of stress on your landing gear. So you don't want your landing gear to fold underneath. That probably wouldn't be expensive. So best thing to do, like, just get in the habit of doing it even when you're empty. If you're going to the house and you drop your trailer, just go ahead and dump your air, pull it down, pull the valve out, and lower your landing gear, go to the house, everything's fine. It keeps all the stress off the landing gear from binding up or folding under or anything like that. It's a good habit. And then, you know, when you do your pre-trip and you just pop it back in, air's back up and everything's good. Ride down the road now.